All right, so thank you all so much for joining today. My name is Elise Beeler. I'm the director of the Merck Manufacturing Leadership Development Program, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to share with you all details about our program, as well as talk you through our current application process that's ongoing, as our job is currently posted and we are currently recruiting candidates to join our MMLDP class of 2018. So today I'm going to walk you through our interactive digital brochure that explains many of the details behind the design of our program, as well as the details of our application process. So the first thing that I want to point you all to is we do have an MMLDP website. So I'll bring that up in a moment just to give you a glimpse of what you can find there. I would encourage you all to visit our website. If you just do a Google search for MMLDP, it's one of the top hits that you'll see. As you can see from my screen now, the web address is here in the top. And if you visit our website, you will find some more details about what the MMLDP is, which I'll walk you through today. But I think a few key things that you should plan to check out after the presentation today is one, we have made a video that you can find on YouTube that interviews alumni from our program, as well as current program members from all across the globe. And I think it really helps to give you a good sense of what program members experience while they're in the program, as well as to give you a sense of what to expect in terms of the directions that your career could take as a result of graduating from our program. So I would encourage you to visit our website and to watch this video. It's about 5 minutes long. Also, importantly, you will find this how to apply section on our website. This button right here will take you to our application. So that is the easiest place to direct you to apply for the Merck Manufacturing Leadership Development Program. And then just to put a face with a name, this is me right here, the program director. Okay, so I will encourage you guys to please visit the website, and I'll return back to our digital brochure. So the first thing I want to do is just talk to you all a little bit about Merck in general. So who is Merck as a company? And you'll have to bear with me. My computer is a little bit slow on a Friday. I think it's ready for the weekend. Okay, here we go. So Merck as a company, we have been in existence for more than a century. Merck is known as Merck in the United States and Canada, and everywhere else in the world you will hear us referred to as MSD. Merck has been for over a century now involved in inventing and solving some of the greatest health challenges to improve the well-being of people and animals across the globe. And Merck's slogan has been inventing for life. And I think that as you learn more about Merck and about our program, you will see why inventing for life is a key theme of who we are and what we do here at Merck. Apologies again that this is slow. I will catch up. So while we're waiting for the slide to advance, the next thing that I want to talk to you all about is, so at Merck, we seek to invent, to impact, and to inspire. And this is very much a culture of applied inquiry. And this is how we look to drive inventions that transcend geographies and disciplines as well as experience levels. So today, Merck is operating globally in more than 60 countries. As a company, our global headquarters is located in Kenilworth, New Jersey, and the Merck Manufacturing Division, which this program is part of, our headquarters are located in White House Station, New Jersey. So as you see where many of our locations are, as we advance in the presentation, you'll see that we have a pretty significant presence on the East Coast of the United States. So now I want to talk a little bit more about the Merck Manufacturing Division specifically and how we fit into the company and what these 4 divisions do at Merck. So Merck is made up of 4 divisions that manufacture and commercialize pharmaceuticals, vaccines, biologics, and animal health products. Our 4 divisions are the Merck Research Laboratories, the Merck Manufacturing Division, Animal Health, and our Global Human Health Division. So I want to talk a little bit about the life cycle of a drug and where each of these 4 divisions intersect in that process. So ultimately, Merck is involved from what we call the cradle to the grave of the life cycle of a drug. So we begin with identifying a need, researching possible solutions, piloting those possible solutions. This is conducted through clinical trials. And then ultimately, we're able to make and deliver these innovative medicines to customers. And so you'll see below, under each of these main steps, what some of the specific tasks are that need to be completed. So for example, under make and deliver to customer, of course, that involves large-scale production. It involves packaging. It involves product control and delivery, as well as external partner relationships. And this next graphic will give you a little bit of a better sense of where does the Merck Manufacturing Division specifically get involved. And I think what I love about this is the visibility to how early MMD actually does get involved in the life cycle of a product. We aren't just in this make section of the process. We're involved in clinical trials, we're involved in piloting, we're involved in research. So I think one of the unique and really great experiences in working for a company that invents like Merck does is that you have the ability in the manufacturing division to get involved in a much wider breadth of experiences than just making products. We are very much involved in the research side of it as well. So returning back to MMD, I want to talk a little bit more about what the Merck Manufacturing Division, what our mission is and what we're focused on. So as a division, our mission is to become a world-class supply organization with the shortest lead time, the lowest cost, and the highest quality. So this translates into our vision of being the most trusted and competitive supplier of pharmaceuticals, vaccines, biologics, and animal health products to the world's patients and customers which supports the company's mission and enables growth. This vision translates into our business goal of being able to achieve world-class manufacturing and supply status by 2020. And the way that we'll be able to do this is by delivering uninterrupted, unconstrained, highest quality supply at the lowest cost with the shortest lead times. So that's what the vision, the mission, the business goal of our division looks like. And ultimately, we achieve this through how we have structured our manufacturing division. So we have what's called an end-to-end operating unit structure. And we have within these end-to-end operating units several important functions like supply chain management and quality, for example, that are built into these end-to-end operating units. So you'll see on the slide what some of our operating units are. We have our global animal health manufacturing operations group. We have a global biologics, therapeutic proteins, and sterile operations end-to-end operating unit. There's global pharmaceutical operations, global vaccine operations, and then I mentioned global quality and supply chain. We also have CMO, which is our contract manufacturing organizations, network strategy, and global supplier business development. So the number of areas that MMD touches and gets involved in is quite expansive and global in nature. And to that point, I'll take a moment to give you a glimpse of where across the globe are MMD plants located. So let's see. So from this map, I know this is let me zoom in a little bit. You'll see that we have a number of sites across the United States. These different colors that you see indicate whether a site is an animal health site, a biologics, therapeutic proteins, and sterile operations site, a global pharmaceutical operations site, or a vaccine operations site. So you'll see in North America, we have a number of MMD locations. We also have an expansive network in Europe, and also moving into the Asia Pacific region, specifically in Singapore and in China. We have some significant operations as well. So the MMD network is very global in nature, and I think where that's important for the MMLDP program specifically is that you'll hear about our rotations and the structure of the program. We really do seek for all of our program members to have at least one opportunity to live internationally for a year to complete an assignment. So there's a number of different sites where you see that we have operations and where that is a good opportunity. So I'll move into talking a little bit more about the MMLDP specifically. So this is an entry-level key talent program for the Merck Manufacturing Division. It is a 3-year development program. Throughout these 3 years, all the program members will complete 1-year rotations, and your rotations are all aligned to a specific track. The track choices are either operations, technical, or business, and our program members select their track before they join the program, which helps us to determine what their first assignment will be. And during the first year of your program experience, you do have an opportunity to change your track one time if you start on a specific track and end up deciding that you would rather try something else. You can change your track once. And the way that I think you learn the most about the different tracks to help you decide what is the best fit for you is you'll hear more about later the biannual program meetings that we have. These meetings include poster sharing sessions where every program member across all of the 3 years will present a poster on their specific rotation that they are currently completing. And this is a good way for people that are on an operations track, for example, to get a better sense of the kind of work that's happening on technical and on business tracks, so that you can better inform the best track choice for yourself. And I think that another important note is that the track choices are not dictated by your major. So it's really about kind of where are you interested in pursuing your passions in the division, and how does that align with what the business needs. And I think another important component to point out about our track design is, there's a lot of rotation programs for entry-level talents across many industries now. And, I think one of the challenges that can be seen sometimes with rotation programs is that an entry-level employee gets a broad range of experiences, which is helpful for a new employee to be able to learn what they like and what they don't like, and to better inform some of their career choices down the road. But it can also pose some risks to the employee and the employer in cases where there's not a track design, for example, and you're just doing 3 different assignments. So by being able to be focused on a track, this really enables you to get a significant level of depth in a certain area, even though you're rotating across departments and across sites and across end-to-end operating units. With our track design, you're able to get enough functional depth that when you graduate the program and go into the area that's best aligned with your track, you're able to be a very accelerated contributor with your peer group because of the functional depth that you've gotten versus kind of having 3 disparate assignments and kind of having to start over almost when you exit the program into a new role. So I think that's one of the important benefits of our track design in the program. So next we'll talk a little bit about what the track design might look like by giving you some more tangible examples of what kinds of assignments someone along a specific track could have. So we'll start with the operations track. And I think an important point to make about our program is that for all program members that are entering their first year, regardless of the track that they're on, we do seek for them to have their first assignment be rooted in operations. So that will look different depending on the track that you're on, but ultimately we believe that it's very important as your foundational experience at Merck to see firsthand from the shop floor what it looks like to make and deliver our products to customers. So regardless of your track, we will seek a foundational first assignment for you that touches the shop floor. So, clearly if you are on an operations track, that ends up being an easy task because we can put you into a process engineering role, for example, where you'll be directly on the floor supporting either an inline operation or potentially a process validation for a product that is about to launch or is entering those pre-launch phases. And those roles typically end up being roles where you could be working on shifts, but you're directly on the floor for the majority of your rotation, and it's a very hands-on experience. For someone in a business track, the way that we look to get you operations experience is by doing something like a site planning role, for example. So site planning is something that typically is part of our supply chain management function, but the site planners do sit on the shop floor, if you will. So for example, we have a large packaging operation in Wilson, North Carolina. So the site planner would be responsible for determining, which products are going to get packaged a certain week, for the trucks that take those finished good packages to our distribution centers, how many we're going to put on trucks and when. They'll be responsible for kind of doing all of that planning and scheduling, and that involves a lot of back and forth with operations really across the globe, because those packaging sites are receiving products from filling locations globally. On a technical track, your first role might look like something like being a site technical operations engineer. So, for example, we have a current program member who just joined the program in our class of 2017 this past August. And she is working in Bergwiedel, Germany as a site tech ops engineer. And what she's doing in that role is really helping to bring a new site online. So she is the technical engineer that's responsible for a specific purification step for a vaccine product. So she will be, working all of the shifts where that specific unit operation is being performed, and she's basically the owner of that unit operation while this new line and this new process is getting up and running. So that's, I think, what year one could look like as examples across tracks. Year two, we're really looking to help you get some greater depth of experience and responsibility across your selected track. So I think not only is it increased depth and responsibility, but we also want to get you exposure to new locations. So I think you'll notice that across all of the track examples, none of them have a person remaining at the same site. So in an ideal state, we would actually like our program members to move to a new location each year that they're in the program. That doesn't necessarily mean, number one, that you have to do an international assignment, although that is something that is preferred given our large manufacturing presence ex-US. And it also doesn't mean that you couldn't do more than one international assignment. So, for example, we have a program member right now that completed her first year in France, and she's doing her second year in Ireland. So there's definitely a number of ways that you can mix and match your rotation locations, but we do encourage program members to maximize their experience by seeing as many different sites as they can during their 3 rotations. So in year 2, for example, we have operations track people actually act as shift leaders. So they could end up being a supervisor for the second shift, for example, on a certain line, and they would have a number of contract employees that are reporting to them. And they will run a shift for a certain operation for the duration of their rotation, and that gives them some really great exposure to management experience. For business track people, value chain is a good place that we look to put people in their second rotation. Value chain is essentially how we define the end-to-end nodes, I'll call it, of a product. So basically from the time the first raw material is put into creating the bulk that becomes the active pharmaceutical ingredient for a product, all the way to the point that the finished package is being sent to the customer. We spend a lot of time defining what that value chain looks like and figuring out how we can optimize those nodes and also ensure that we're mitigating risk from things, for example, like only having one source of a supplier for a certain material. So that's a great opportunity to really get an end-to-end mindset of the manufacturing process. And then for the technical role, being able to work in a commercialization role in one of the end-to-end operating units is a great experience for technical track people. So our commercialization space is the space in MMD where all products that are in phase 2B through launch in the clinical trial space. This is where we work to scale up the products. We look to complete the manufacture of clinical supplies. We look to complete all of the things like formal stability studies that need to be part of filings. And of course, we do the process validation for the scaled up facility that will be used to manufacture the product long term. So there's a large breadth and depth of technical expertise that is required in this space to be successful. And then finally, in year 3, this is where we really look to have the program members get the greatest level of responsibility and depth now that they've had 2 previous rotations. So, for example, operations track people may be acting as virtual plant managers. So this is an important role at Merck today in our external manufacturing function. So not only do we have a large network of manufacturing plants in MMD, we also have a large network of external manufacturers that make all kinds of products on behalf of Merck at sites that we don't actually own. And in those cases, we actually have virtual plant managers that oversee some of those external manufacturing companies. And so we have operations track people that are able to serve in support functions as virtual plant managers with our external manufacturing departments. So I think that's a really great way that people are able to get depth and responsibility within the operations track. In the business track, being able to have a role in the Merck Production Systems group is a great third rotation. Merck Production Systems is essentially our version of Lean and Six Sigma. And so essentially, the Merck Production Systems group acts as an internal consultant to the rest of the division. So people that are in this role, they travel to our MMD sites and to our external manufacturers all across the globe. And they work to solve specific problems that a site might be having, or perhaps there are certain initiatives to increase production or to lower costs. And these consultants look to employ our Merck Production Systems methodology to realize those goals at many of Merck's sites across the globe. So that's a very exciting role for business track members to take part in. And then finally, for the technical track, being able to work as an engineer in our external manufacturing group is a great opportunity. So I think this is somewhat similar to the virtual plant manager role that I described, but instead of looking at it from an operations perspective like the plant manager would, this engineering function is really looking at it from the technical lens of, for example, being able to evaluate different possible contract manufacturing organizations that we may want to leverage for our products, and doing a technical capability analysis to determine which one is best suited for the specific products that we're interested in introducing there, and really solving the technical challenges associated with that transfer. So I think that this hopefully gives you a sense of what your time in the program along a given track could look like. I think what's important to point out is that this program, since it is a key talent program for our division, it's governed by a group called the Talent and Governance Council. And this council is comprised of vice presidents from across each of our end-to-end operating units and our functions. And they handpick the assignments that will be leveraged for program members every year. And the reason that they pick the assignments is because they have the greatest level of visibility to what the most critical business needs are in that specific year at the company, because we always want to ensure that program members are working on the most critical business needs, not only in service of the company, but also to ensure that the program member gets the best experience and the best leadership experience possible. Okay, so I will move now into talking about the learning and development framework for the program. So you've heard a lot now about kind of how the specific rotation assignments are determined. And I think what's important to note is that as part of the program design, those rotations make up what we're calling the 70%. So the learning framework for our program is the 70-20-10 model, where 70% of what you learn is on the job in your rotation. 20% of what you learn is through coaching and mentorship. And then 10% is by actual formal learning. So you've heard a lot now about the 70% and how that is executed. I'll talk a little bit now about the 20%. So we have a multi-layered mentoring program that you will become part of if you're in LDP. And the different layers of mentoring that you get are, number one, you'll be assigned a program buddy. So this is someone who's in their third year in the program. And this person will begin mentoring you almost immediately after you are selected to join the program, before you even have your start date. So you can start to get some insight from them about which track you should choose and which sites you might prefer to work at, et cetera. So you certainly are able to start the program already knowing people that are in cohorts ahead of you. Secondly, you'll be assigned a program mentor. So this person is typically a mid-level manager in MMD, and it's someone that is aligned to your track. And this person will meet with you on a monthly basis. And they can not only give you some good personal and professional advice about any challenges that you might be encountering, but we also have a specific leadership curriculum through the Harvard Business Review that we have the mentors walk through with you on a monthly basis, so that you're able to also have some specific framework for leadership, learning, and coaching that you get through those program mentors. Next, you will have a senior level mentor. And this is typically someone that's at an executive director and above level in the organization. And this person you'll meet with on at least a quarterly basis. And this person will, help to act as a sponsor for you throughout your 3 years in the program, as well as to give you some big picture advice around where is the division and the company and the industry, headed in the future, and how should that impact some of the career choices that you're making for yourself. So you'll have that big picture view to assist you as you own your career moving forward. And then finally, upon your graduation from the program, we have career coaches that you can elect to have assigned. And these career coaches will follow you in your first year upon program graduation to help ensure a seamless transition from the program into kind of quote unquote normal Merck life. So that is what the 20% looks like in the program. And the 10% is those biannual program meetings that I was describing. So twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring, the entire program from across the globe. So all the program members from the US, from Europe, and also from the Asia Pacific region will come together and we'll spend an entire week together, really focusing on training some core functional competencies that the manufacturing leadership team have defined as key skills that leaders in the future in the company need to have to be successful. So, for example, in our upcoming program meeting this fall, we'll be training all of our program members on how to manage internal and external partnerships. So that's what the 10% looks like during your program time. And ultimately, the Talent and Governance Council will be leveraged to help identify opportunities that program members can post. So essentially, jobs will be made available for program members upon graduation, and program members will go through a traditional posting and interviewing process to achieve one of those roles upon their completion of the program. And the Talent and Governance Council does a great job of ensuring that those opportunities that are available to program graduates also reflect the most critical business needs across the division. Okay, so next we'll move into talking a little bit more about some of the specifics of LDP, since this program has been in existence at Merck in one form or another for over 20 years now. So we've had a lot of experience in iterating this program to be able to continue to be innovative and learn how to respond to the changing needs of the workforce to ensure that this program is producing not only what the candidates need from it, but also what the organization as a whole needs. So we've had over 300 graduates from our program in the last 20 years that the program has been in existence. And we've had rotations that have been completed in more than 10 countries, and the people have completed rotations in more than 30 of our MMD sites. So this is a very expansive program, very global in nature. So next we'll talk about some of the, wait, I think I'm missing one thing. So we're gonna talk about what the I guess, what the years that you're in the program look like from a cadence perspective. Okay, so this is just a look at sort of what happens during year 1, year 2, year 3 that you're in the program. So first off, the current cohort size for the program is 20 people a year. So for the job posting that's available currently, we're hiring 15 people in the U.S. and we're hiring 5 people ex-U.S. That includes Europe and the Asia Pacific region. So ultimately, there are 60 people at a time that are in the MMLDP. So for the year 1 program members, the first thing that happens is you'll attend an on-site orientation. And immediately following this on-site orientation, you'll go directly into a 6-week hands-on training boot camp. So if I go back to my comments around completing your first rotation in operations, the way that we prepare you to do that, regardless of your educational background, is to put you through a 6-week boot camp where we train you through more of the on-the-job learning in our Merck production systems. So the Merck Production Systems boot camp will actually have you assigned to a production line, and you'll have a Merck Production Systems coach that will be working with you, and you will be doing real-time improvements on a line through multiple cycles during this 6 weeks period, so that this training really enables you to be able to then go into your operations area and hit the ground running in your first assignment. I talked about track confirmation, so you have the ability to change your track during year 1 if you decide that you want to. And of course, we have our 2 biannual face-to-face program meetings during that first year. Going into year 2, I think the biggest difference that you will see is that you will start work on your cohort project. So as I mentioned, every cohort is 20 people across the globe. And part of our program design entails each cohort of 20 people working together to complete a cohort project that is assigned to them. These cohort projects can definitely, I guess, run the range in terms of scope and also the area that they support, depending on what the most critical business needs are at the time. So the intent of these cohort projects is twofold. One is we want to give you an opportunity to actually work together with your peers. So I think what you find in the program is, number one, this close-knit network of people, they not only become your friends, but they also become like your family while you're in the program. And what's interesting is that because you're all in your own different rotations across the globe, you don't really have much of an opportunity to actually work together with one another. And this cohort project gives you the opportunity to do that. Think like senior design project for engineers, but in the real world. So for example, we have one cohort that's currently completing a project with our GHH division, actually, which is the commercial arm of our company. So we have a cohort that is working on our digital transformation strategy. They're actually looking to recommend digital technologies that help us to better meet what our customers' needs are, and to identify those and implement them across multiple markets and geographies. So these projects tend to be big picture in nature, and you ultimately have sometimes at least 2 years, and sometimes even 3, if we're able to start it in your first year to complete them. And then finally, in year 3 of the program, you will begin to act as a buddy for the incoming program members. And you'll also go through a lot of training on how to own your career as you leave the program to set you up to be successful in continuing to plan your own career at Merck once you're outside of the program. Okay, so let's go back to, here we go. So eligibility requirements. So who can apply for this program? So we do have a minimum GPA requirement. You need to have a 3.3 GPA overall and a 3.5 GPA in your major. And we do have an official transcript requirement that will need to be submitted if you're selected for an on-site interview. As far as academic classification, so this is an entry-level program. So we are seeking candidates that do not have prior work experience for greater than 2 years. And we need all of our incoming program members to have graduated from their degree program by August 1st of 2018, which is the start date for our next class of LDPs. So as an entry-level program, we seek both bachelor's and master's degrees, and you'll see the list of majors. They are mostly focused on STEM, engineering, as well as supply chain. And then from a residency status perspective, it's important that you are a U.S. citizen, a U.S. national, or a permanent resident, so that you are eligible to work in the U.S. without sponsorship. And with respect to our 3 rotations, we're looking for people that are willing to be assigned to different jobs across different sites, and also a willingness to be assigned to international roles based on what the business needs are. So next we'll talk about some of what we're looking for in candidates. So some of the ideal candidates that we're looking for are, if any of you have had a focus on the biopharmaceutical industry as part of your schooling, that's certainly a great target for this program. Because this is a leadership program, we are very keen on finding people that possess superior communication and interpersonal skills. We need people that are team players, but also have the ability to work independently. And we also are looking for people that have demonstrated leadership experience, both in your field of study or also in extracurricular activities that you've been involved with. And we also look for people that have had previous internship experiences or undergraduate research experiences. And you'll also see some of the potential geographic locations where we have had program members be assigned most recently, as well as some of the international countries where our program members have recently been assigned. So this includes Singapore, China, Ireland, France, Spain, the Netherlands, the UK, and Germany. So in conclusion, I want to make sure we have time for a few questions. So let me just move on to talking about the application process. So I've shown you where you can apply for our job posting. This job posting will be available until October 6th. So if you are interested in applying, you'll need to make sure that you do it before October 6th. Once you apply to the position, we'll do a review to ensure that you meet the basic qualifications that we've laid out with respect to the level of experience that you have, your degree, your graduation date, your GPA, and then assuming that you meet the basic qualifications within that same week, you will be sent an online leadership assessment to complete. This leadership assessment will come from a Merck email address, and you'll have exactly 72 hours to complete it once you receive the assessment. So it's important that once you apply, you monitor your inbox, and that when you do get the link with the invitation to take the assessment, that you do it right away. Because once that link expires, you will not be able to take the assessment, and you will be rejected from the application process. So please take that test in a timely manner. It should take you about 90 minutes to complete, and it is timed. So please ensure that you allow yourself adequate time and that you aren't distracted while you're taking it. So if you pass the online leadership assessment, then you will be invited to attend a video interview. So this video interview will take place via webcam on your computer, or if you don't have a webcam on your computer, then it can be done with a camera on your phone if you have one. And then if you don't have a camera on your computer or on your phone, then we can do just an audio phone call. And then once this video screening is complete, we will then determine the top candidates who will receive an in-person interview. So the in-person interviews will happen at our West Point, Pennsylvania location, and they will happen the last 2 weeks of October and the first week of November. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to point out is just that if you would like to learn more about Merck and more about the program, you should not only visit our website, but we also have a social media presence. You can find us on Instagram. We have a Merck Inspired and a Merck Careers account. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find us on LinkedIn and Facebook. And of course, we have our YouTube videos as well. So those are some great avenues to learn more about us as a company, as well as other job postings in addition to the leadership development programs that are currently available. So with that, I'm happy to open it up to any questions in the remaining time we have.
Hey, so this is Will Moss. I appreciate you taking the time out to share this information with our audience. Like I said, we have recorded this to share on our website throughout the application period. And we'll also share the links that you mentioned with our audience on our website so that they can find out more information as well as apply. But just sort of being aware of the time we have left, so we may have some really high potential candidates that are interested in the program. So if you could maybe just, I don't know if you were a part of the program when you started to work at Merck, but if you could give sort of a sales pitch to any high potential candidates that might be considering this as one of their options after they graduate. What would be sort of some of the selling points of this program for those candidates?
Yeah, that's a great question, Will. So thanks for asking that. So I actually am a graduate of this program myself. 9 years ago, actually 11 years ago, I joined Merck as a member of this program myself. And 9 years ago, I graduated from this program. Back then, it was a 2-year program instead of 3. And the thing that has enabled me to be successful in my career to date as a result of my program experience is really the network that it provided me by being able to work in so many different areas across so many different sites early on in my career. Ultimately, what I found is that this program experience gave me a boundaryless career at Merck. So, for example, after I completed my time in MMLDP, I spent 2 years in a commercialization function in MMD, I'm a chemical engineer by background. And then I actually decided that I was interested in moving into marketing. So I was able to leverage my connections from my program experience, and I went over to market research. And I worked in market research for a few years, and then I got interested in business development. So again, I was able to leverage the connections I made in the program, and I made a move over into business development, and I worked there for a few years. And after those two experiences, I decided to come back to MMD to lead this program. So, throughout my 11-year career at Merck, it's almost been kind of like my own continuous rotation program, where I haven't really stayed in any one place for more than a few years. And I've been able to have roles across MMD, our commercial division. I've also done some roles in IT, and now I'm in kind of an HR function. So I feel like regardless of my academic background, the program has enabled me to do boundaryless things in my career at Merck.
And just one last question. What would you say you like most about working for Merck? So just for those folks out there that are curious.
So the thing that I like most about working for Merck is that it's personal. So just to give a little bit of background on kind of my story and why I've stayed. So I'm originally from the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma, and I came to work for Merck because I was passionate about reducing and eliminating healthcare disparities in Native American populations. And when I came to Merck, I was able to found the Native American Employee Business Resource Group here at Merck because we didn't have one yet. And then through that group, I've actually been able to work with Merck to start a company on a impoverished reservation in South Dakota to help bring economic development to an area where lifting the people out of poverty is really the number one way to address healthcare disparities in that population. And by being able to tie my own personal passions to Merck's business, Merck has been incredibly receptive in, being able to support those endeavors and, turn my own personal passions into the reality of what I'm able to do every day as an employee. So I think that's the number one reason that I love working at Merck is because it's personal.
Wow, I think that's a pretty awesome testimonial and speaks to what type of company Merck is. So I think with that, it's 1 o'clock, so maybe we should wrap up. And I wanted to kind of thank everyone for joining. Like I said, this webinar will be posted on our website in case you want to watch it again. And we'll also share it with the other members of our site that weren't able to make it. But just thank you for taking the time out to share all of this valuable information with our audience. We will also share it with the HBCUs and the stakeholders in leadership there to share with their students. But if you have any other closing words, feel free to do so now.
Thanks, Will. I would just like to echo the gratitude for all of you taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. I imagine many of you are in your senior year of school, and so I just encourage you all to enjoy this special time that's in front of you and make the most of it. And I hope that you all will consider applying for the Merck Manufacturing Leadership Development Program.
Yep, thanks again, Elise, and thanks to Merck for reaching out to the HBCU audience. So we appreciate your time and effort. And everyone have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.